Hey and welcome again. Today in this video, we'll tell you a heartwarming story about a puppy you cannot resist watching in the next 5 minutes. Without further ado, let's get straight into the story. Puppies are often seen as incredibly adorable and lovable, and it is common for people to feel a strong affection for them. This affection can be due to the natural cuteness and playfulness of puppies. Puppies are also very social animals, and they have a natural ability to form strong bonds with humans. They are often very affectionate and crave attention and affection from their owners. This can make it easy for people to fall in love with their puppies and develop a strong attachment. People love to keep dogs at home as their pets. They play with them, walk with them, and even eat with them at the same dining table. Over centuries, dogs have been used for security purposes, and agencies use them to trace explosives and missing people and even search for evidence of crime during their investigations. An officer was patrolling on a sunny day in the streets and checking up on security issues. He was tired of going around in his patrolling car as this was passing without any criminal activity. He got off his car and started walking in the streets, interrogating and inspecting the situation to see whether everything was under control. He was walking down the road and noticed people staring at him. First, he ignored them, and then he noticed people were continuously smiling and looking at him, so he decided to look around to see what was wrong with him. Soon, he looked behind, and a cute little puppy was following him, looking for someone to take him home. This happened on the streets of Los Angeles, famous for the populated city of the USA. This population consists not only of humans, but of animals. You often see dogs with their owners on the streets, and most are strayed with no one to care for them. So there's a police department called the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, and there was a police officer, Mercado, who had no idea how eventful his day would become. In fact, he would soon choose to take care of the little puppy as his own son. Yes, he was going to adopt him. First, when Officer Mercado left the building of LAPD, he expected a typical day to carry out his duty. He wasn't aware of what would happen in his life, and he would become so famous that people would be an inspiration for adopting stray dogs. He was joined by another member of his team, Officer Tavera. They exited their LAPD, and the two officers around their police car. Their shift appeared easy since they didn't find themselves in trouble so far. Things changed, however, when they neared Hobart Boulevard. Both officers exited their car and walked around in the streets of Hobart. It took them a little while to realize that people looked at them with a smile. First ignored, he found out that a little puppy was no more than a few inches away from his feet. And that was a surprise. Actually, a great surprise. A small, helpless, seemingly happy puppy instantly fell in love with him. He looked around to see who could have belonged to this little puppy, but found no one. Mercado was hit with a small wave of disappointment as the puppy was alone. Who was looking after this little puppy? The officer said to himself. The puppy seemed to have lots of energy to take a walk. So Mercado started walking, thinking the owners would be here in a moment. But when he turned around, this puppy was again following him. This time Officer Mercado failed to show his emotions for this little one. He sat down and started caressing the puppy's back, and this little creature started licking the officer's boots. That made Mercado a little emotional as his emotions were drowning like a sea, and he couldn't control them eventually. He took it to his lap and showed affection for him as if it had never happened. The little puppy was in search of someone who could take him to their house, where he could find an ultimate place instead of getting strayed on the streets. Officer Tavera found this interaction fascinating, as this was very unlikely they could meet such a little puppy in this way. She took the phone out of his pocket and started filming the scenes of a puppy with Officer Mercado. She found these moments so heartwarming she couldn't resist show her emotions for this puppy. She shared those pictures and videos on the LAPD's official account. Both police officers wanted to give this little guy a name as they were unaware of his term if there was any. They decided to give him the name Hobart after a tweet they found on the LAPD account. The officers instantly called the pup by his new name, and that little creature was so intelligent he responded immediately. They again looked around and found no one to be his owner. Soon they realized it'd be so unjust and cruel if they left this tiny little guy on the streets vulnerable to attacks from some other street dog. They felt responsible for him and agreed to take him along, and that was incredible when both officers were in the same boat to take this puppy along with them. Even though they had just met with this little creature, Hobart showed trust in them and immediately jumped on the front seat. They headed to the police station and searched for his owner. Soon they came to know about the owners who knowingly abandoned Hobart as they were not ready to adopt him, and this left Officer Mercado with lots of disappointment. Still, he wanted to provide Hobart with a shelter where someone could look after him. Unfortunately, animal homelessness is a big problem in the US. According to one report, approximately 70 million stray stray animals live in the U.S. However, a small percent put into the shelter. Hobart was one of the many lucky animals found and put into the shelter. Although Officer Mercado didn't find a home for Hobart, finding a shelter is much better than letting him stray on the streets with no one to look after him. It was a tough decision to send Hobart to a shelter, but they knew he'd be adequately taken care of. So Officer Mercado took Hobart to the local rescue center with a heavy heart because he didn't have any other option. Shelter administration looked after Hobart and praised his nature to intermix with other puppy cousins. In the meantime, the officer ensured that Hobart was treated in the best way possible. Officer Mercado hated being separated from Hobart. Although he didn't spend with Hobart, the emotions he had for Hobart were sky high. He waited so long that someone could adopt Hobart from the shelter, but no one came. He had no option but to look after Hobart, and he decided to be the owner and look after him at his home as their child. That was an unusual step, and he adopted Hobart proudly with the feelings he's built for Hobart. People found this adoption very encouraging, and Hobart was happy to meet Officer Mercado once again as he recognized him instantly. Their bonding was so great that people started appreciating Mercado's adoption. After all, Hobart has chosen a police officer to be his father while following him on the streets of Hobart. The family members of Mercado built a strong bond with Hobart. Officer Mercado took Hobart to his teammates, and they fell in love with him. Hobart felt this place was his home. In one of the posts on LAPD's officials, they greeted Hobart, "Welcome to the LAPD, Hobart." As I said at the start of the video, people are fond of dogs. This fantastic story of police officers with Hobart was on another level as it went viral. The police department has a great affection for dogs because they are the type of animals that are easy to train and have very sensitive noses. Many people who saw the photos of Officer Mercado with Hobart were curious about the aftermath. And seeing the great response from the people, LAPD made another post on Twitter and updated them that Hobart was good and well taken care of at Officer Mercado's home. You may want to know how Hobart is now. Yeah, he's having a good time with his father, Mercado. So this was all about Hobart, who was adopted by an LAPD officer. This story caught people's attention and helped them realize their genuine emotions for the pets. Well, if you like this video and want to watch more of the stories like this, make sure to like this video and share it with your friends, family, and others. Also, remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you'll be informed when the following story about pets goes live. See you in the next video.